this is my name here, so I thought I should
Yeah, when your name's in the middle, that's what you've got to read. Basically, all the rest is me telling you, or me explaining what he's doing in the scene. So Act 1, Brennan. Exterior grocery store. The screen expands to reveal a wide of Brennan walking up to a grocery store. The music, Emotions by Brenda Lee starts playing, and Brennan is walking to the grocery store. He's a young adult focusing most of his time and energy on working to make money for his family. He dropped out of college and started working to distract himself from his academic failures.
Okay.
This isn't meant to, I wrote this for a different person. I wrote this for a different person.
Leon.
I wrote this for a different person.
Leon.
I wrote it for someone else, I promise.
Okay, carry on.
I didn't come up with the original character ideas either.
Monotone blues.
He dresses in monotone blues and has a depressive tone throughout. Not in his speaking though, he just kind of speaks normally. It's just like his kind of thought process and everything. We cut to a left third wide of Brennan entering the store, walking down the street and into his nearest Sainsbury's and Tesco. He's getting all the essentials as reduced as he can. And then he picks up the items, packs them away, blah blah blah. Basically all these items are marked with bright yellow bits and bobs, the reduced sticker obviously, and he walks around the store getting it. He's doing his boring daily tasks. And then Brennan says in voiceover,
I honestly never believed in fate. It seemed too good to be true, or too fictional.
After paying, he collects his cheap necessities, put them in his backpack. He heads out the store and walks down an assortment of lanes and roads, on ultra-wide of Brennan across the streets, as he says,
I never got any distinctive sign or message from the stars.
That says nothing like that. Sorry, my hand's scribbly. And then he stops at a shop window with a sign and looks at it. The sign reads hiring with some details about a job very much under minimum wage. And then there's a cut to the sign and cut to Brennan, and then he says,
Not any good signs, at least.
and then, sorry, I forgot to write this. The emphasis there, I'm scribbling when I need to. The emphasis there is on good. Like he says, not any good signs at least. He gets a call from his dad and keeps walking, ignoring the sign. Wired to in front of Brennan as he walks. Flip page, and then on the phone, Brennan says,
Hi, Dad. Yeah, I got it. Bread, milk, and some other bits I could find. You alright?
A moment passes. His dad obviously doesn't humour him with a response and starts nagging instead.
Yeah, sure.
Frustrated and regretting even making an effort, Brennan hangs up the phone and continues walking. He has little confidence in this walk, but has complete intent of where he's going. So his eyes are set, but he's a little bit weary in his legs. He crosses the road to a cafe he's clearly familiar with, stepping in confidently. Cut to a medium wide inside the cafe. This bit, the kind of small talk and banter between the cashier, like I said, will be cut, but the kind of same principle stands. He acquaints himself with the barista he's met many times before and orders some extravagant tea and moves over to the collection area. After some small talk about how they've both been, he looks around awkwardly trying to pass the time, and something incredible makes him double take. Slow-mo not wide, that's kind of meant to be piss take, but there's a medium-wide shot between Brennan and Idalia, who's just entered the store. Idalia is a young student, about Brennan's age, who also rarely finds time for herself, in between a nagging family and scrutinising studies. She's a beaming blessing sent from heaven, literally by her name, red hair and dressed in vibrant threads. I know, it's so cool, right?
Are you...
Brennan's double take quickly makes him aware of her beauty.
Wow.
It's kind of just his internal thought of like, wow, okay. Idalia captures his eyes as well after scanning the chalkboard menu, and surprisingly smiles. The romantic interlude is swiftly disrupted by a tea coming into frame and the barista calling, questionable tea for you, dipshit, for Brennan to collect his order. Out of fear and somewhat excitement, he takes the tea and rushes out the door past Idalia, and she is stunned by his speed. And there's a wide outside the cafe. He doesn't leave fully. He dwells in shock just out of view from the door and tries to recover from that wow factor, and Idalia orders some vanilla latte. Basically, we're outside. Brennan's hiding behind a wall, but Idalia is still in frame in the shot, but he's hiding. And then he says,
To be honest, it was just that one moment that changed my mind forever.
It's corny, it's romance, we love it. Act 2, exchange, exterior bookstore.
Just a quick question, am I saying this to the camera, or is it like
No, so
I'm not saying it and it's like just a voiceover?
VO, basically, you're not saying this in,
yeah.
You'll be like looking dead into the camera.
Yeah, so I'm like narrating it.
Yeah, basically. Okay. There are an occasional thing, and I make sure to say it's in scene or whatever, just in a moment. Okay. Exterior bookstore, Brennan.
And it didn't stop at that day.
It's been a day since the coffee phenomena, and to the song of Lujon by Henry Mancini, Brennan has clocked out of work for the day. Exhausted from it, he decides to... He decides to take a moment for himself and walks into one of his favourite bookstores. Overflowing with novels, non-fictions, and piles of Office 2009 stories piled up to an extensive height, he makes himself into the store and up the stairs to the best section, which, honestly, any section you want to look at. And there's a wide of view scanning the aisles, and he scours the store for a while, tracing the shelves and finding anything cheap and interesting. After a while, he has a sizable pile of books in his hands and makes his way downstairs again to the till. This bit's going to be cut because it involves more kind of paying, like someone behind the counter action. So it's just going to be, you're just going to kind of walk behind you, and then he heads for the door, and as he does, he gets hit by a dash of sunshine, literally. Idalia bumps into him, knocking the books out of his hand.
Shit.
I'm so sorry.
No, really, it's my fault. I can see.
They rush down to get sorry, I put the each in the wrong place there. They each rush down to get the books, and there's a medium-wide pan between their books and them both. As they quickly gather the books, they catch a glimpse up at each other. Out of embarrassment, scramble back to collecting the books. Brennan is fully read by now, like hypothetically. I don't need you to go red in the face. And so scrambles for the final books and escapes as quick as he can. We focus on one forgotten book as he rushes out the door and Idalia stays, saying,
"Hey, you forgot."
She trails off as he dashes. This time he actually leaves, not just lingers around the door. The book Brennan left behind eventually gets picked up by Idalia, and she stores it for if they are ever destined to meet again. From this point, we switch to Idalia's perspective as the current holder of the book. Act 3, Idalia. This is really wobbly. It was going to be a classroom scene, but it's easier to do it in a house. And then this bit here, I'm going to rephrase that just because it's too corny, almost, and a bit blocky. But taking us through her life, Idalia heads to school. Actually, we're at the beginning of a new act. Any questions? All good?
Yeah, all
so
good.
So far? You know you're about to say something, Aaron?
No, I'm okay.
Okay, fair enough. Taking us through her life, Idalia heads to school. I haven't been cold, of course. Heads to school the next day, home. Keeping the book either close to her or on her at all times. Idalia's, she's zoning out. She's sitting at the table with the book by her side and spacing out, and she gives us her take on fate and soulmates.
I've always believed in fate, always trusted the universe to put me on the right path at least.
Her bag is open, and the book is spilling out. She now has full intention of returning the book, and is confident in that.
So if someone bumps into me multiple times and loses something, I take it as destiny to return it.
Her lunch is called, not really, she just kind of leaves because of no college. She goes exploring near her house, passing the time in the only proper time allocating for herself. You can probably see a recurring theme. She makes her way to an indie record store, the one we walk past. She's always been obsessed with forever. That's the forever doesn't need to be there. As she skims through the rows of indie pop. Oh, this is also wrong. Because they're opposites. Idalia is actually scanning through the rows of like rock, stuff like that, and Brennan is into indie pop and stuff. So it's the switch bit. She looks over to see Brennan head down in the indie pop section. Immediately, Idalia is thrilled as she sees him and finally she can return the book to him. As she reaches into her bag to get the book, her beaming smile quickly drops as she realises her mistake.
Idiot!
Her head whips round, basically, if this wasn't clear, she forgot the book. Her head whips round as the camera does too, back to the book in her house, as she dashes back to get it. Grabbing it out of the frame, so this is going to be some interesting, I can't see the page number, sorry. 5. This is going to be a cool thing, basically. She looks in her bag, and then the camera's going to zoom in. She realises, oh shit, I forgot it. It whips round, and then it whips back into the house, and then Idalia just immediately grabs it out of frame, goes back to doing the thing. She grabs it out of frame and runs back to the record store. Beaming with excitement once more, she has the book in her hands and looks to where Brennan once was. As she looks to an empty space where Brennan was, she mellows as she's missed him once again.
I suppose it would have been too easy if it had happened that quickly.
She puts the book back in her bag and goes back to browsing the rows of Cage the Elephant or something quirky like that. But in the distance, we hear a voice call for the cashier. Aaron, just say like, hey, or something. We hear a voice call for the cashier, and as Idalia turns her head up, we whip to Brennan at the till, tapping his hands to pass the awkward time. We pan back to Idalia as she gets the book out of her bag, excitedly once more.
Or maybe not.
She rushes up and he waits around awkwardly. Huh? Oh, she rushes up to him as he waits around awkwardly and confronts him.
Hi, sorry.
Brennan turns around, surprised, and he can't even get a word out, so he just waits for Idalia to continue, starstruck. Idalia has full confidence that he remembers her, and of course he does.
You forgot this book when I bumped into you, so I just, yeah.
She passes the book over with a note vaguely sticking out the side, and rushes away after a moment to avoid more confrontation, smiling back at him in one last glance.
Oh, thanks.
And then Brennan in voiceover as well.
She remembered.
Brennan is completely lost and just staring at the book inquisitively. And the cashier, this bit's going to be a little bit. Sir, we did have that in store. Would you like a bag? Brennan turns back to reality and thanks the cashier, pulling out the note from the book as it reads, meet me, Italian Gardens, here, as we are. Sunday, 4 p.m, be late. Cashier continued. Sir? Act 4, the final act, almost done. Time and place, exterior, gardens. So there's a shot of the note in the record store, and then it cuts to the same, but we're outside instead of in the record store. Cut to the exact same shot of the note in the gardens now, as he pulls it down and out of frame, and we cut to a wide of Brennan standing alone. This place is a haven of overgrown bushes, sheltered stools, and some onion patches around it, which, by the way, I really thought there was, but I thought it was there, I swear. But there's not, so that's unfortunate. It's not like they were a big picture. Brennan goes from a walkway and sits to a bench behind him. Cut to a medium wide near Brennan, looking at the note again and the time on his phone. Despite it being a good 5 minutes past the time Brennan was given, he waits. A moment of tranquil silence passes, and he isn't even that uncomfortable with it. And then suddenly, medium close to some shoes walking towards the garden, Idalia finally arrives, and we zoom out to reveal her, with a spring in her step, walking towards Brennan. As she is revealed, and Brennan is finally not alone, the song Idalia by Ethan Taylor plays. She slows down as we cut to a wide of the two together, making the frame a lot less empty.
Hi,
He indicates the note with an awkward smile, and Idalia chuckles in return.
Yeah, I gathered.
They kind of stay as they are, comfortable with each other, before Idalia reaches out her hand to say,
I'm Idalia.
Brennan, of course, reaches back and introduces himself.
Brennan.
They both smile, but it's at this point in the story that the characters are so settled in their philosophies that they don't feel the need to give us an insight through voiceover. It's also at this point in the story that instead of seeing the world from two completely different perspectives, both us and the couple are comfortable seeing the world together. Idalia.
Do you believe in soulmates, Brennan?
They continue talking as we cut back to a wide and they sit down, talking unintelligibly to the audience. Idalia by Ethan Taylor continues and we fade out as the credits roll. Bam!
Me likey.
You likey?
Me likey.
I absolutely love it, yeah.
Any improvements
Amazing.
whatsoever on your
I'm
character?
so cold.
We'll rush to a cafe or something. But yeah, anything.
No, I was kind of imagining the shots as they went through it, and I think it's quite good. And
I'm working on a storyboard, but it's pretty bad anyway.
I think from the voiceovers to then talking in person, it kind of gives it that we're then like together in person.
Yes.
Right.
In a good way.
I like it. Yeah.
Awesome.
No, I love it. I don't think I have any questions about it. 'Cause
It gives it visual and intellectual depth.
Yes.
I like it.
Jesus Christ, you are freezing. All right. Yeah, that's that script read through done.